preponderance of rare and exotic injuries makes this place perfect for the study of suffering.
Wow, this is such a good boon. Welcome back to Darkest Dungeon. I wish I had. Yeah. Remember how I said that there would be dumb reactions?
Great.
I gotta, like... I don't know why I use OBS to record with this, mainly because I don't even use a different scene settings. My recording setup is also the same as my streaming setup. And because of that, I just I might do something like this where I accidentally press activate mic, and now you could hear me, just breathe. But now that we got this town event, I'm weighing options here, because a cool thing that you often don't know about the sanitarium is that it's not exclusively remove one or the other. You could do both at once. Now, normally you don't do both at once because that shit's expensive. Like,
Right.
if by putting Gluck Gluck in there with the traits they had, it would cost me anywhere between 10 to 12 grand to remove all that.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like you don't really need to focus on quirks that much, I find.
Quirks help a lot, and I feel like establishing them early on will make your just everything in general easier to do. Especially if you get a +2 speed, because that is a guaranteed seal. That makes so much of a difference.
Every plan relies upon a strong arm and tempered steel.
You would not believe how much of a difference going first and getting a stun off does in this game.
Hmm.
I'm kind of looking for cool accessories, and I don't quite know what I want to get.
So I noticed you didn't really make great use of the your great town event.
Well, I got the most use out of it because I got 4 quirk modifications for free. I could have used it to remove diseases as well, but I think at this point I was trying to figure out... At this point, I was trying to figure out who I'm going to take on a dungeon. And I'm sorry, Kaboom Dragoon, but, not this time.
Oh, come on!
I do use them eventually, I promise.
You're going to the ruins. It's the perfect time.
Yeah. But, at that point, I was like, well... I could do that, but I do kind of need to bounce back from losing an important body. I'm trying to decide who to take on, because none of my little baby team has a frontlineman, so I needed a quick replacement.
Rage and unrelenting savagery make for a powerful ally.
By the way, I remembered to do something. And from the...
Not turn off caps lock.
Well, caps lock is my mute button, so by pressing caps lock, I am now officially muted, and you won't hear me.
Oh, good.
Welcome to the team, Veloxel.
And cut. And there we go.
Yeah, I alt-tabbed over to make sure, absolutely sure I spelled it correctly, because I was like, that doesn't look right. Oh, it is. Okay. And I figure while I'm here, I do also gotta throw someone in the anti-stress lock. Ah! You dick! Yeah, see, circumstances like that are when I decide, yeah, I think it's time to upgrade the church.
Yeah, I've been telling you it's a good thing to do.
Well, I never really had stress problems in the novice dungeons. But in retrospect, yeah, it would have been better to do early on rather than later. And, something tells me I'm gonna regret putting Selnar in a, gambling hall. Because it never turns out good.
Well, are you talking about gambling halls in general or just Selnar?
Gambling halls in general, because the gambling hall and the pub are ones where you can lose an accessory forever. I say forever, but you can't get them back, but it's a matter of, oh hey, this very important accessory that your Crusader was gonna use, yeah, fuck it, bye.
Yeah, but you could also win.
The odds are very low for winning, which is true for gambling in general, but still. Now I'm looking at these skills and I'm like, yeah, these are alright. I could use these. Why the fuck not? I haven't used them before. But,
Yeah.
I think either this video or another one where Veloxel's gonna be in, I'm gonna have to do a counter of how every time I regret not having Iron Swan. Because during that specific recording, I was like, there was a lot of instances where I was just like, oh, I wish I had Iron Swan.
I mean, Iron Swan is good, but it's no Houndmaster.
Yeah. Houndmasters are great, but honestly, I just feel like having Iron Swan is good, because when you're in a circumstance where you want to hit him, but you've already burned the Houndmaster's turn, you're just like, ah. Now, the Antiquarian is why I like the book accessories in general, because the Antiquarian doesn't really have any cutesy things that it could do. So just putting neutral stuffs like the Scouting book or the Trap Disarm book on her makes her a lot more versatile, instead of just, you know, a money pocket. Also, if you haven't noticed, this video is 40 minutes long because it is our first long mission.
Oh, great.
I am getting supplies ready, baby. Luckily, I believe it's just a scouting mission, so it's not going to be too long.
I mean, it's still 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Pace out the halls of your lineage once familiar, now foreign.
So, a while back we were talking about difficulty in terms of raising numbers and modifying stats. I feel like the long dungeons are probably the best form of difficulty for Darkest Dungeon, just because you're in here for so long that you're gonna run out of resources. And, like, there is no question that you're going to.
I mean, it very much feels like a constant war of attrition in the long dungeon. Whereas, you know, short or medium length, you can pretty much just skate by.
Yeah, in the long dungeon, there is, just by merit of there is more to do, there is more to scout, there is more potential for ambushes, there's more that can go wrong. That's where the difficulty comes from.
Highway, you know you have to actually go into other rooms to complete the mission, right?
Yeah, so here's an interesting thing. A long time ago in one episode, I mentioned, there is a slight math to these exploration rooms where you have an allowance, and I said, in general, you could skip 1 room in short dungeons, 2 rooms in medium dungeons, and 3 in long dungeons. Turns out I don't know math, cause see that room in the bottom left corner?
As the fiend falls.
Oh good, we're gonna have to backtrack, aren't we?
I am gonna sincerely regret not scouting that room, cause I thought I could skip it, it's part of my allowance. But oh no, I should do math, cause, man, I don't know what 90% is. Given how much we have to backtrack though, this is not a long video in retrospect. Because there are going to be other videos where they turn out to be way longer than they should. This is another reason why I loathe the long dungeons.
The light, the promise of safety.
I tend to over-prepare, and I don't have room for treasure. Now, a common thing people do in long dungeons is that they will instantly burn their first bonfire for the buffs, which is a valid maneuver. Like, doing that makes sense. Also, I want to demonstrate Bleed Out. It's a skill I really want to be good because it's 115% damage. But the issue is it's meant to be a finisher. You don't open with it like I did because it's an adrenal skill, which means in the long run she will lose damage.
Well, I mean, you're supposed to actually succeed in the bleed check.
That too. The big issue is that even with the bleed check and the 150% damage, Bleed Out never really does enough damage that I want to see. I always feel like it's suffering in some ways, and at one point I even checked my percentages to see does it mean 15% as in an extra 15, or it reduces your damage to 15%. But yeah, it's a skill I really want to be good. I really wish Bleed Out is good. But it's one of those skills where I'm just like, it's not that great. Don't rely on it.
I really wonder if we're gonna get another post in the thread telling us how we're wrong about Bleed Out, just like we were about Finale.
We probably will, but though there is a sudden insurgence of people saying, "Wow, this LP helped me get over a lot of bad mindsets, and I'm glad you did it." And I'm just kind of smiling, like, really? Because I don't know what it is. I just feel like, for some odd reason, I can't parse the fact that this LP is helping people. It's baffling to me. Also, this is possibly the worst encounter we could fight in this dungeon.
Yeah, we're not on veteran or champion, so.
Bandits are surprisingly strong just because they have the capacity to hit your frontline dudes for full damage.
If I remember correctly, the bandits themselves were supposed to be like stretch goal rewards from the Kickstarter.
I believe so, because the unique bandit boss was something that wasn't in development until like I think it was either the tail end of early access development or post-release. But yeah,
right.
The main bit of bandits didn't appear until way later in the development, which is why, yeah, it's a Kickstarter goal, much like the Antiquarian, the Abomination, and the end of the game. Because like I mentioned before, I got burned out really early in this game. You know why? Because it didn't have a fucking ending.
Yeah. That's like a problem with early access as a whole, I think. Like pretty much unless you're making Minecraft, like early access is kind of a gamble on any sort of like actual narrative or any game where you're supposed to work towards an ending.
Yeah, so let's turn this into a slight early access podcast because of the length. I do not like early access because, man, there are so many people that make games that just aren't finished, there's no goal, and they stay in early access for so long that it feels like it just...
And fucking every one of them has survival and crafting in the fucking tags, and that immediately makes me leave the page.
Yeah, like, the first thing I do nowadays in C is it a finished product? If not, my attention is almost gone. Because my biggest grief, by the way, this is the third time I wish I had Iron Swan. Anyways.
Oh, okay.
My first burn on early access was Nemoria. And, actually, I need to check something, because I think it's still in early access since 2012.
That was a good yacht, by the way.
Yeah. Yop was really good. I'm glad I brought it. Thanks to the thread for telling me Yop is good, because it's really good. No more, yeah. Oh no, it's released, but it released earlier this year, so that was a game in early access for 4 years and never really kept up with its logs in any public manner. And that was one of the big burns where it was just like, I've gone almost a year and a half without a new update. I'm just fucking done with this game.
Yeah.
And a lot of other games do that. There's a lot of RPG Maker JRPGs that are on early access now, and you have no reason to do that.
No.
When you put a fucking RPG on early access and don't have an ending, that's a crime in my opinion.
I mean, I've only personally bought into 2 early access games, being Darkest Dungeon and Grim Dawn. Which Grim Dawn I kind of burned out on just because of the same reason it did not have like the final acts or whatever.
The ground quakes.
So, and I mean, I kind of burned out on Darkest Dungeon as well.
Yeah. Luckily, Darkest Dungeon eventually ended, but it did end a little too late.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I'm glad it ended, because oftentimes you don't see early access games end.
Right, and like Darkest Dungeon was actually a very short early access cycle, all things considered. It was like maybe a little over a year, I think.
Yeah, it entered early access in I want to say either November or December in 2014.
Triumphant
and then it released in like January of 2016.
Yeah, that's about right.
Like, it kind of shocked me how quick it developed and how well it developed.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cool because another developer, Clay, who does Don't Starve, they also do the early access model, and they're one of the other few people that do it good. By the way, Don't Starve is pretty good. I'd highly recommend it.
Huddled together, furtive and vulnerable. Rats in a maze.
I think this is another situation where, yep, I don't have any security. I've been really bad about that lately.
I can't believe we're living on the edge.
Yeah, this LP has... I can't tell if it's the LP that changed me or if I'm just forgetting a lot of things. But this is definitely a mistake of why don't I have security? Why does my Vestal not have Pray? Or Sanctify?
I mean, it might be one of those things, like, I know when I'm recording a video, I just kind of want to get through all the preliminary bullshit and get to the actual game.
Yeah.
So I end up not checking things I might have checked if I was just playing by myself.
Yeah, recording is always an issue because, much like you, I just want to get to the meat of the game. However, in a way, management is part of the meat of Darkest Dungeon. Though this ambush is not bad, but...
No, it's not bad at all.
The thing about getting ambushed during camp is that you will always be surprised, and I believe enemies have a huge modifier to their initiative. Actually, no, because this is going by normally. My high-speed people go first, and my low-speed people don't. So it's just...
Yeah, the biggest problem with an ambush is the fact that you're surprised, and it's a dark run fight.
Yeah, so stress damage is going to be a problem, which sucks because I did just kind of de-stress people, and that fucking cup is here. No! I still can't believe that that cup is an accessory on the PS4. I can't tell if that's supposed to be cheeky because that cup is notorious as kind of a middle finger from expert players.
A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless.
Also, one thing I kind of realized after doing these recordings is that this would be a good time to bring out the backer reward stuff, and I really should. But
yeah.
We're doing a backlog for certain scheduling reasons, so I didn't think to do that ahead of time.
It's my fault, everybody.
Everybody has lives. We're just trying to make sure this LP goes on in stride. But yeah, we're doing these because Chitlin has to go on important business.
Yeah.
God damn it, really? What is wrong with you people?
Except the jumpiest adventurers down here.
He's just kind of like, hey, give us your money, and then my entire team just flips their shit. And I really need that Hellion forward because her camping debuff makes her completely weak if she's not in row 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Battle Trance it gives you, I believe it gives you like 20 or 30% more damage and crit if you're in the front row, but if you're not, that becomes a debuff. Because the big design choice of the Hellion is that it's meant to be in front. It is a battle warrior, it wants to be in the front, it wants to enjoy blood. And these thieves are not giving me the damn time of day. I gotta give them props though, they've certainly lasted longer than other fights.
Well, yeah, you've barely been able to hit them. You just been moving people around.
It's like, give us a second, we gotta move this around, and they're just like, fucking shoot them. So, one thing I do want to bring up that was brought up in the thread is that people were wondering how accuracy and critical hit rates are rolled.
Decimated.
One specific point is people thought that it was much like XCOM 2, where hit and critical rate are rolled at the same time, where if you get a hit that's lower than your crit rate, it will become a crit. But I've noticed that now that we're in the veteran modes, everything is rolled separately. Hit rate, dodge rate, crit rate, all of those are all rolled separately. The only reason we often see a massive amount of crits from AoE attacks is that by nature those attacks are low chances to hit. And you kind of saw that just now because when that blanket fire hit, one person got hit, 2 people dodged, and a third was a miss. So that means all 4 attack rolls were rolled individually. Which is an interesting dynamic because that takes a lot of calculations to do on the fly.
Well, I mean, this game is itself very limited in scopes. I mean, it's not like it's trying to do all those calculations plus, you know, any wandering monsters or anything like that.
Yeah, which
I mean, it's not like a ARPG like Diablo or something like that, where you just have so many calculations going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and that's why it's pretty nice. Because of that, you could get dynamic circumstances like this, and also a antiquarian that just wants to open a cage without the key, even though we have the key. Come on, Hankasha. Work with me here. What was I discussing? Oh yeah. Because the developers of Darkest Dungeon knew their scope, they didn't try to be overly ambitious. And because of that, the combat definitely feels tight and mechanically sound because of they didn't oh yeah. During recording, I actually had to... During recording, somebody knocked at my door. And and after that I had to take a call.
Oh,
so
God.
I was just like, God, I just want to fucking... Luckily, during the call, I took note of, like, I gotta edit here because fate hates me. But yeah, as I was mentioning, the code is definitely tighter because the developers, whether by limited budget or, like, tight design, they knew what they wanted to do, so things feel a lot more interesting and fleshed out because you're not seeing all dodge, all miss, all hit. You'll see that one hit and you'll think, man, why is your dodge so low? I gotta fix that. I've also been getting a lot of use out of illumination recently, which is odd. I never thought I'd be using that as much as I do, but it's a very versatile skill because it can hit almost everything.
Is that the one that also comes with a stun and a plus torch?
No, that is dazzling lights. Illumination is anti-dodge. It also comes with a lot of damage, which is really... Well, I say a lot of damage, but it's 50% damage debuff as opposed to 85%.
Right.
Oh yeah, illumination does also add torch. That's another good part about it. And I figure since I wanna have a little bit of fun, but what's the point? Kill him.
Yeah. I mean, he's dead anyway when that that bleed procs.
Success. So
But I didn't have
clearly-
Iron Swamp, so add another one to the
Or is
counter.
it merely a trick of the
Did
light?
you not take the other Hellion bleed skill?
If it bleeds, no. I did not buy Vioxel any skills.
Huh.
Because when I looked at it, I'm like, this skill set looks alright. I'll work with it.
Yeah.
Also, if you're wondering why I specifically have the Houndmaster handling all the books, it's because I know for a fact he has higher stress resist in the ruins specifically. So I figure if there's a candidate for it, it's him. There's another here's another circumstance where I really wish I had Iron Swan.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Boy, Iron Swan is such a good skill, isn't it, Chitlin? Man, I wish I had Iron Swan.
You should probably feed the dog and attack the last guy.
I think I do that here. No? Wow, really? I don't? Like, people have been mentioning that item management is a bad habit of mine, and I did make a case to try and use dog treats more, but I never know when I use them after I'm done recording.
Yeah.
Because when I record, it's when it's the dead of night and I'm bored. So I'll record like a couple episodes, check to make sure they're alright, then go to bed, and then wake up and think, what did I do last night? Then we come to recording where it's just a matter of, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
Don't need to feed that dog, though. Dog's doing perfectly good on his own.
Dog is hungry, Wang.
I know Dog's hungry, but Dog is also very competent. I should feed the dog, but I'm probably gonna find a more threatening fight to feed the dog for. See, look at that. Bokojima got 3 kills this fight.
Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
Why am I scouting? There's nothing to
Wait.
scout.
Oh wait, you already threw out your dog treats.
Oh, I must have used them early on.
I don't know, I haven't been paying that much attention to the video, I guess.
It is kind of a long one. We're
Yeah.
lucky that this isn't the Cove. Oh man, if this is the Cove, it would be awful.
I can't wait to go to the Cove.
I believe next video is the Cove, and I have a special title for that video.
Is it a special title when you're just gonna call it Fuck the Cove?
Kind of. It's not specifically that, but it is a circumstance of this video is this way because it's the Cove, and I'm sorry.
Is it at least a veteran code mission?
Yes.
Good.
We will not be seeing many novice mission videos from here on out. If they appear, it's because I want to get Skytalon and Kaboom Dragoon up. I'm not gonna get Kaboom Dragoon up.
I don't know why you hate Kaboom Dragoon so much. You misspelled his name and then you leave him to rot in the fucking town.
They just arrived on the scene at a very inopportune moment. I mean, sure, I hired them, but it's also a matter of I'm gonna have such a hard time training you, and we're on a timer, so sorry.
I'm not on a timer at all. This is a new game plus.
Dazed,
Yeah, but
feeling
it's also an LP.
about to break.
An LP that's gone on for... Oh, fuck. We started this in July, didn't we? We've been at this LP for 14 weeks, so that's about 3.5 months, so... Yeah, we started around July. So while we're not on a timer, it's a matter of I don't want to spend excess time doing things that may not be necessary. Though I will say, I assure you, I do eventually use Kaboom Dragoon.
I think it'd be far funnier
Remind
if you just
yourself
left
that
him there.
This is a slow and insidious killer.
It's like, yeah, you're here, take your paycheck and get back to the bar. Thanks, boss.
Throw away a stack of food.
I still have one fireplace, though. Like, I know you
Yeah.
keep badgering me on the food. Everybody does, but I am really fucking paranoid about the hunger mechanic. Really paranoid about that. I would rather sacrifice money
Gathered close,
than deal with a
tenuous
hunger prompt.
firelight, and uneasy companionship.
Let's make everybody relax a little bit. Pet the dog.
Yeah. It's a good dog.
He's a very good dog. I like this line here. You have the heart of a panther. What? Like, heart of a lion or heart of a tiger would be good, but panther? I don't know why, but it just makes me laugh.
Yeah, okay.
No security. No problem.
As the
I am
light gains
unusually lucky
purchase,
with this LP.
Spirits are lifted, and purpose is made clear.
I really hope that the developers are watching this game, and then at one point we just see a stealth update that specifically hunts down my account and makes it difficult. And then I just see a note in my account that says, "We see you've been enjoying this LP, but you've been making it too easy. Enjoy."
That reminds me, especially back when the game was gearing up towards release, they started doing developer streams where their community manager would just play the game and answer questions, whatever. And there were actually people on their official Steam forums who were complaining that he was playing an easy developer mode of the game.
Oh, brother, whatever.
Yeah, because he had the goal to actually know how to play.
It's his game. He knows how to play. He knows what to do.
Yeah.
Why are people so salty about this?
They apparently there's a stink on the forums of people watching the stream be like, "Why is this game so easy for him? He must be cheating."
See,
yeah, of course.
That's so weird because when I streamed the game way back in the day and there were like 30 people watching me, people were like, "Wow, you have such an easy time with the game. You know what you're doing." And I'm like, "No, I don't." I don't know why Red Hook got such a bad rap.
I don't know.
Like, I honestly feel like the stink for that specific thing you mentioned was because people were still salty about corpses.
Well, I kind of feel like their early access was kind of a flash in the pan success sort of thing, where a bunch of people bought into it at a very specific time, and then they introduced like a huge update like the corpses and heart attacks and all that. And when you get that many people into the game and then do something that drastic of a change, you're gonna see a big stink about it.
It really doesn't feel like a big stink, though. I think it's mainly customer whiplash, which is another big issue with early access. By the way, sure wish I had Iron Swan. Really wish I had Iron Swan.
Dog, why?
Really wish
kill
I
this
had
man?
Iron Swan. I hate this game.
Well, at least he's in the third row now.
Yeah.
Foolish horrors.
Oh,
Brought
man.
low and driven into the
I love
mud.
this game, but man, LP also makes me realize a lot of things about myself.
Finding the stuff is only the first test. Now it must be carried home.
And luckily, there are not going to be any fights for a lot of... There's not going to be any big fights for the rest of the video.
Oh, good.
However, remember earlier on when I said I'm going to regret not exploring that bottom right corner?
Yeah, I remember.
That's where a lot of the rest of this video is going to be.
For a task well performed.
So, I won't blame you if you just kind of stop watching the video now, but if you do, thanks for watching. We're probably going to be discussing a little bit more about early access.
Well, actually, I had a question for you about the display cabinets.
Yeah, what's
up? You smashed one open with a shovel, and while that is, of course, a valid interaction, do you get any loot deficit for smashing them open rather than using a key?
Actually, yes. You get one less drop in general from smashing it as opposed to opening it. 'Cause it's the implication of you're vandalizing the thing and you're doing it recklessly, so naturally you're probably going to break a ruby or a statue that's within that display cabinet.
Right.
How the hell did you find all that in a torch? Now, another interesting thing about early access is that we joked about before about how I've been playing the hell out of RimWorld, and I actually beat it recently.
You must rely on flesh.
Congratulations,
and
I guess.
indefatigable purpose.
And yeah, that's kind of a thing I feel like should be a standard in early access. You need to have an end goal. Like, even if you have one of those management games where it's like survival, open world, dynamic stuff, you need to have some end goal, because people will eventually burn out, and if you're not out of early access by the time that burnout has achieved, it's gonna affect things by word of mouth more than anything. Because Darkest Dungeon is one of those things that suffered from that, because I talk with a couple of other people, some of them that do video reviews and stuff, and I'll just casually talk with them and like, yeah, I see you're doing Darkest Dungeon, I love that game, but man, I got really tired of it. And I just say, that makes sense. You probably, much like me, bought it during early access and got tired of it.
Yeah, I almost kind of wish I didn't buy it during early access and just got to play it when it was actually released.
Yeah, I agree with the sentiment, actually.
I mean, there is something very interesting about being able to buy a game, play it during development, and watch it evolve. But at the same time, it's kind of like, watching how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
Kind of at a certain point, you're just kind of ruining the appeal for yourself, I think.
Early access certainly is a romanticized version of game development, much like Kickstarter. With Kickstarter, it's always a matter of, you're going to be funding the game, it'll be your game the way you want it, and you will influence the decision.
Yeah.
And early access also has that thing where it's like,
why are you going that way?
A new fight spawned, I'm afraid it's the collector.
Probably is.
However,
possibly a shambler.
However, this fight was here the whole time. I know it's not a shambler. So I'm taking the safer route because I'm a giant man-shot. Fucking! Ah! A miss is always the most soul-crushing thing to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I was mentioning, like, both Kickstarter and Early Access have romanticized game development, because it's always a matter of, it's going to be your game, you're going to develop it, and you're going to love it because it's your decisions. There's just two things about that. A, game development is a long process. I mentioned before that Nemoria took 4 years to develop, and there was huge spouts of downtime where nothing happened. And when those spouts of nothing happening occurs, your consumer base stops playing and stops inputting on development. Second off, consumers don't know what the hell they want.
That is true.
I'm gonna let you all know right now, I've been playing Dead Rising because it got on sale during Halloween sale. Now, when Dead Rising 3 came out, I was spiteful because it didn't look anything like the Dead Rising I'm used to. It looked a lot more sporadic, it looked a lot more random, it looked like the writing suffered. And in some ways, I was still kind of right, because playing it now, Dead Rising's writing does suck. It definitely does suffer from the same issues that Saints Row 3 did. But also, Dead Rising 3 is really fucking fun. Because it streamlines a lot of the gameplay, and while it certainly does have a kind of corny-ass plot that I don't give a shit about, it's still really fun to play, and it was worth the $15 I spent on it. So yeah, as customers, we don't know what the hell we want.
A glint of gold.
Learn to take risks. Buy a game. Buy a game and play it. If you get burned on it, you still had fun playing it.
Hopefully.
But also know that even though you are going into early access, your input is a drop in a sea of piss and bile that could come up from other people
Oh god,
that don't know what they want.
Yeah, everyone's got their own idealized version of how things should be, and they're all wrong. Every last one of them.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, like, my idealized version of Darkest Dungeon was double the dungeons, not repetitions of bosses, more animations.
Mm-hmm.
I could put a list of what I would have liked to have seen in Darkest Dungeon, but that's just one input among the thousands of people that play, and my ambitions are time-consuming, which is something people don't consider when they put in inputs for game development. Game development takes forever. Why are you afraid of a wall?
Fear and frailty finally claim
They're
their
in a
due.
dark and scary place and had to tunnel through something with their bare hands.
Luckily,
It's kind of stressful.
yeah, luckily it's at the end of the dungeon.
Yeah.
The
Let's go home.
shifted corridors and
So, how'd you like your
walls of our
first long
ancestry
dungeon?
are
Oh
beginning
my
to feel
god, it's even
familiar.
glad it's over.
Yeah.
We got a lot of money out of it, though. 23 grand.
Not bad.
We also got a really good grave robber accessory. Unfortunately, I also did this to level Bokenjima, and he didn't level.
Good.
I was really angry at that. How the hell did Hankasha level up and not Bokenjima? So, next time, Cove Veteran difficulty in a dungeon that is way longer than it needs to be.
Oh, good.
See you folks next time.